Well, hello. My name is Michael Weiss, and I am a teacher at College of Computing Technology in Dublin, Ireland. And today I'm going to make a little presentation about we're going to create a domain controller on a Server 2019 virtual machine. And then after we make the domain controller, we're going to take a second machine and add it to that domain. So we're not going to make two domain controllers. We're going to make one domain controller to create the domain, and then a second server is going to join the domain as a member of the domain. So just a couple of details. First of all, there's previous videos you can watch. We're assuming you already have two virtual machines and that you've already renamed them, maybe server 1 and server 2, and that you've already given them IP addresses. Although for this demonstration I'm going to go ahead and configure the IP addressing anyway, because the first thing you should do is double check your IP addressing and make sure that the addressing is good and the two machines have connectivity to each other. Connectivity is defined as a reliable connection between two devices. And the way we check connectivity is with a TCP/IP service or protocol called ping. It's not really a protocol, it's a service. Ping is, what is it? Packet internetwork groper, and the groping part of it is the fact that it's dark inside those wires and the one machine's trying to find the other machine. But basically the way ping works is it sends out echo request and is expecting to get an echo reply. So if it sends out 4 echo requests and get 4 replies, it means we have connectivity. If we send out requests and don't get any reply, it means we either don't have connectivity or there could be a firewall. Now in the case of this server 2019, we're going to network together. There actually is a firewall there that has the ICMP port 7 for echo, I believe it is blocked or closed, but we're going to open up that port and make a port exception. So what I'm going to do is I have a machine here called demo server 1, which I'm going to start up. Now, just to show you, I'm using Oracle VirtualBox, and if I go right here, About VirtualBox, I just upgraded to version 7. It's actually 7.02. I was using 6.1.40, and it was working fine, and then they just came out with a version 7, and then that was causing me problems. See this one right here that says aborted. But then after that, they realized there was a problem, and they came out with the 7.02, this version. And so far, everything's been good. Okay, so I started up one virtual machine. Now let's go start up a second virtual machine. So I already have these all made up. So if you need to know how to make them, look at one of the previous videos. So this one is starting up, and let's go. What I like to do is get them both side by side. So let's go to this other machine here and show that one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have server 1 on one side and server 2 on the other. And I'm not sure what all this nonsense is here. I don't think I need all that. There we go. That's something new in VirtualBox. Okay, so this is server 1 over here, and then over here you see demo server 2 is what I've called them. And if you look here, you'll see I have already renamed this one demo server 1, and I've renamed this one demo server 2. I have not networked them together. So before we go make a domain controller, let's check the networking. Now one thing I'm going to show you is we're going to be using this something called a server manager, which is software built into this. But what I'm going to show you here is that you can get rid of the server manager anytime you want. Let's see, what are we going to do here? Let's go here, dashboard, there, and I just want to close this. So, but look, I can leave it open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the start button of this one, and I'm going to go to network connections, and I'm going to right click on this one and go to network connections. So I'm going to just configure both machines side by side. I'm going to go here into change adapter options, and this one change adapter options. And then before I go too much further, let me show you a little something. I have a little something I'll read to you. Converting Windows 2019 standalone server into domain controller and adding a server to the domain is what we're going to be doing. Once we've installed servers on the two VMs, I already have put in the guest editions. I have renamed them. I haven't networked these ones together, so I'll do that with you. When networking the two VMs, there are a few different methods. One of them is host only. There's another one called bridged, and then there's another one called internal, which is the one we're going to use. By default, the network adapter is on something called NAT, which I'll show you. The NAT lets you get internet in your virtual machine, but the internal one lets you network it to another machine. So I actually do put two network adapters. For this demonstration, we do not need two network adapters. We only need one on internal, but I'm going to show you how to put in two of them with the second one on NAT. You'll see that in just a second here. Actually, I could show you that now. If we go here, let's go to here. Not that one. I wanted to go to... Hang on a second here, folks. There. And this one. There. Perfect. So what we see is our two machines are side by side. I'm going to show you, if I go into machine settings and go into network, you'll see this one, adapter 4 is on NAT and adapter 1 is on internal. With another way to get to it, instead of machine settings, I could go into devices, network settings. Exact same thing, really. And then you'll see my adapter 1 is on internal and my adapter 4 is on NAT. By default, it only has one adapter on NAT, but I added a second one. Now, when you do add adapters, the machine does have to be off. You see right now, if I click on adapter 2 and 3, it won't let me change anything. So in order to add or remove adapters, you do have to have your machine not running. So that's my networking. It has a network name, internet. We're not going to change that. I recommend you don't change that. But basically, what I've done is I right-clicked on the Start button and went to Network Connections. So now I'm going to right-click on Ethernet adapter and go into Properties, and right-click on this one and go into Properties. And even though we have IP version 4 and IP version 6, I only want IP version 4 here. And, oops, I meant to click on IP version 4 properties, which is what I'm going to do here. Okay, so right now you see by default my machine is a DHCP client. Both machines are. And what does that mean? Well, out on the network we might have a DHCP server that gives IP addresses. So when I want to request an IP address, I just keep my machine on this setting that says obtain an IP address automatically and obtain a DNS server address automatically. And if you do that, then as a client machine you'll get your address from a DHCP server, which is a really good idea. Your mobile phone does this, your tablet does this, if you have a smartwatch or smartphone, things like that, they all get their IP addresses from a DHCP server. Now we are going to give these machines static IP addresses. So the reason why you want a static IP address is, in this case, they're both servers. So network devices such as servers and printers and file servers, web servers, DNS servers, DHCP servers, any really kind of network device should have a static IP address, but client machines should get their IP address automatically, which is the default for these machines. So I'm going to click here, and I'm just going to use 192.168.0.100. And then this 192 tells me it's a Class C subnet mask, and a Class C IP address with 192.168, and the subnet mask for Class C is 255.255.255.0, and the gateway I'm going to use 192.168.0.1, which will be the first available address in the range, and the server is going to be 192.168.0.100. So let me explain why I'm using 100 here. Is because this machine, this first server 1, is going to be my domain controller, and when it becomes a domain controller, they're going to put the DNS service on it as well. Now I'm going to go to the second machine, 192.168.0. Should I go ahead and do 0.100 again? No, I don't want to do 100. By the way, you see my machine there just aborted there, so I'm going to have to check into that, because I'm using the Oracle VirtualBox, the new one, version 7.02, and I have been having issues with it. Anyway, getting back to this, I don't want to use 100 here because I used that on the other machine. You see, every machine should have a different IP address, but every machine on the network should have the same subnet mask, and they should all have the same default gateway, 192.168.0.1, and then this one's going to be 192.168.0.100. And the reason why I'm using 100 is because the first machine is going to be 100. So now I'm going to pause the recording for a second and restart that other machine, okay? Hang on. Okay, so I restarted that first machine, and then of course the second machine crashed. So I think this version 7 is a little bit unstable, but we'll just keep going. So you see I have 192.168.0.100, 192.168.0.200. Both machines have the same DNS mask, subnet mask. They have the same default gateway and the same DNS server. This is really important. This one is machine 100 and the DNS is 100. This one is pointing toward the first machine. Got it? So if you have trouble joining the domain, that would be why. Okay, this has to be 100. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click Close. I'm going to click Close. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to close this one, and finally close that one. So now I need to get both machines to ping each other. So if I go here and type in CMD, it takes me to a command prompt, and I'm going to go to the second machine and type in CMD and get a command prompt. And once I'm at the command prompt, I'm going to type in, make sure that's, there we go. Now type in ipconfig on the first machine. ipconfig is one word. We type that word in, shows you your TCP/IP configuration. You hit enter, and you can see the two machines are the addresses I have here, 100, 200. The other two addresses are from that NAT adapter. That's the 10.0.5.15 on both of them, because I'm using adapter 4. Okay, and that's giving me access to the internet. Watch this. I can ping www.google.com, and you can see I have access to Google. Okay, or this one I can ping, use the ping command www.yahoo.com, and you can see I can ping Yahoo, hopefully. Come on, Yahoo. Try again. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. There we go. Anyway, now I'm going to type in CLS, and that will clear the screen. And if I type in ipconfig again, I'm going to try pinging my own address, ping 192.168.0.100. So of course I can ping my own address, but can I ping 200? So if I bring back this command here and try to ping 200, it's not going to work. You see? So what's happening here is it's going to send out 4 echo requests, and it's going to get 4 echo replies. Except it's not. Since the machine's not replying, it's going to get 4 requests timed out. So it's sending out 4 messages saying, "Are you there?" And is there, no, nothing. So watch this. I'm going to do that command, and I'm going to put in a -T. And what a -T does is it's called a continuous ping. So once I'm doing that, I'm going to go over to the other machine, and I'm going to type in here Windows Advanced Windows Advanced Firewall. How about Windows Defender Advanced Firewall? Okay. Here, Windows Defender with Advanced Security. I want to go into there. So I need to make a port exception. This is something I was starting to show you here, that once they're networked together, we're going to check connectivity using the ping command, but we have to configure the firewall to make an exception to allow ping to go through. We then need to make sure we've established connectivity between the two servers using the ping command. The first server then will become the domain controller. The second one will join the domain. And if we have any hassle with that, we got to make sure that the DNS server address is the same, that 192.168.0.100 in the case of these machines. Okay, so in a few minutes we'll use Server Manager to configure all this stuff. But I've gone into this Windows Defender Firewall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Inbound Rule, and I'm going to go here into File and Printer Sharing Requests. See how that says IP version 4, and then under that there's an IP version 6. We don't care about the 6. We only want IP version 4. Notice these green ones are enabled, so these ones are not enabled. Watch over here. Since I'm using continuous ping, the minute I open the firewall, that's going to get through. I can either right-click and go Enable Rule, or I can just click on it and go Enable Rule. So let's go here. Now I've enabled the rule. Watch this. The ping went through right away. Okay? See how that works? So machine 1 is now pinging machine number 2. So let's go configure the other firewall. If I'm going to go here, what did I type in? Windows Defender. Now the other one I did Windows Defender Advanced. So in this case, since I just typed in Windows Defender, I'm going to click here on Advanced Settings, and that should take me into there. And I want the inbound rules. I don't care about the outbound, because the ping, the ICMP for the ping is allowed on the way out. It's just blocked on the way in. So I'm going to go over to this machine. Now that machine just died, by the way. So I'm going to have to go resurrect it in a second. But here, let me go type in ping one. Let's see, what was the command we used? Yeah, ping 192.168.0.100 with a -T. Now we know the other machine's not going to respond because it just died on me again. But I'm going to go resurrect it. So I'm going to pause the recording for a second. Okay, so I've restarted the machine, so I'm going to go into that Windows Defender Firewall. Windows Defender Firewall. And we are going to allow the inbound for this file and printer sharing echo. Right click, enable rule. Now watch, it's going to get through. See that? So we now have connectivity between the two machines. So to break out of that continuous ping, you do Control-C. I clicked into here and click Control-C. Okay, so we're going to be joining this. We don't really need server 2 right now for the moment. We know we have connectivity. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to close this one out and not have it running just for the moment. This way it'll give all the processing power to the first machine. Okay, so I'm going to go here. And then here, this is, I can get rid of those notifications, and I can close the firewall here. So now we're at the part where we are going to create the domain controller. All right. So just to review everything we've done, the first thing we did was make sure we have 2 virtual machines. We've put in the guest editions and renamed them. You didn't see me do that, but watch the previous video. We just made sure they're networked together, and we made that exception in the firewall so that they could allow ICMP for ping. So we have connectivity. So now we are going to make a domain controller. And once that's done, then we're going to join the second machine to the domain. Okay, so I am going to go here into Add Roles and Features. Now, by the way, this is Server Manager. I'm going to get rid of this. This starts up when you start up the server, but if you get rid of it, you can get it back anytime very easily. I can click the Start button. I can go here, And if I right click, something on there should say maybe server manager, maybe not. But I do have my, where is it? Hang on a second here. Oh, don't worry about that. But anyway, see right here it says server manager, okay? So I can always, and I think I can left click on it too. There's server manager from there as well. See, so I'm going to go start up the server manager, and it's called server manager because there's the software in here will let you add not just the domain controller we're going to have here. Later on we're going to be putting in a DHCP server, we're going to be making web servers, you can make this machine's going to be a DNS server, you can add file servers, so there's a lot of different things you can do. So I'm going to click on add roles and features. And then I get this little wizard here, and the wizard is just the software that Microsoft wrote to help you install software. I configure next. I'm going to do role-based or feature-based installation. I click on next. It lets me choose the server from the pool. Now you go, what do you mean a pool? You only have one server. What do you mean there's a pool of servers? Well, there theoretically could be. This allows for what's called remote administration. Suppose I had 10 or even 20 servers out there on the network, scattered all over the building. I could have them all inside this interface, and I could control them all from one machine, which is really, really cool. So Microsoft has that remote administration built into the server. Now, I'm not going to be using that, but I'm just pointing that out to you, that that's what this is. So I click on Next. We see a lot of things here. Later on, we'll be installing IIS, we'll be installing DHCP. For right now, what we want is the second item. So see how the first one says Active Directory Certificate Services. We do not want that. What we want is the second one that says Active Directory Domain Services. We click on that. Boom. This comes up, add roles and features. So we do want to add these features and the management tools that I was just talking about. So I add that, and now see how this has a tick mark there next to it. And then it's added a few other things to it. So we don't need to change anything else. Just click Next. Now we're going to click Next again. I don't know how long this is going to take, but we're putting in Active Directory Domain Services. It stores information about users, computers, and other devices on the network, and it helps administrators securely manage this information and facilitates resource sharing and allocation and collaboration between users. So this is really good. This is your introduction to Active Directory. And Active Directory Microsoft's had since the year 2000 when they created it. It's been in every version since 2000, 2000 server, 2003 server, 2008 server, 2012 server, 2016, this is 2019, and 2022 is out. They all have Active Directory, and up in the cloud there's Microsoft Azure uses Active Directory, and you can join them all together. So everything is all integrated together. Okay, and even with Office 365 and Azure Active Directory, everything can be configured. So that basically, if you have Active Directory with like, say, users for sales and accounting and all the different departments, you can use that so they can log in and use their Office 365, but they can also log into the cloud environment. Okay, anyway, that's what that is. So we're going to have it restart the server. Now, not every machine requires a restart, but this one will. So I don't know how long it's going to take. My machine says it's 5:10. Let's see if we'll be done in 10 minutes. But it is going to reboot. I'm going to click on Install. And let's see how long this takes. My machine's pretty fast, so we should be in good shape, so long as it doesn't crash. As you can see, there's issues. I don't think it's my computer because I have a brand new machine, which has a really good graphics card. But the problem is everything was running fine with version 6.1.4, but now they came out with version 7, and my virtual machines have been crashing. So we'll just have to keep going and hope that it doesn't crash in the middle of this demo. If it does, I'll stop the recording and start again. Okay. So it's been about a minute, but it does take a few seconds for it. Basically, let's just watch this little status bar here. What we're really looking for here is, see this little flag up here? this is called the notification area, and this is a really important thing, because like here it's telling us we can close this. You can close this wizard without interrupting the tasks, view task progress, or open this page by clicking the notifications. So we can close that. We don't need that. But this is now the important thing. This notification area, it says, this has succeeded. So now the next thing it wants us to do is promote this server to a domain controller. So we can say we're done with phase 1 of making this domain controller. That went pretty quick. Phase 2 then is to click on this notification flag and click here, promote this server to a domain controller. I'm going to click on it now. Here goes. And so now it's asking, do we want to add a domain controller to an existing domain? And the answer is no, because we don't have another domain. We are actually creating it. Do we want to add a new domain to an existing forest? And all forest is just a group of one or more networks. It's Microsoft's terminology for a network that has a name, and then you can have another network that has a name. Each would be considered a tree, and each namespace is a tree. So if you have many different namespaces, they call it a forest. Don't worry about that. But what we want to do is add a new forest. And how about we are going to call it domain. I'll give it a capital D, doesn't really matter. Domain 123.cct. And I'm going to go, I'm using the .cct extension. You could use .com, .org, .net, anything you want, .local, make something up. But since our college is College of Computing Technology, I'm going to do CCT. I'm going to hit next. So now I've got 5:14. Let's see how many minutes this takes. That's why I'm saying about the time. It's asking for the functional level. We don't need to change that. It makes it so that this can work with any servers that that are running server 2016, but we don't really care about that. It's supporting other servers. If we had servers running, server 2012 or 2008, then we need to support them, but we actually don't need to support them, so we'll just leave that. Notice it's going to put DNS, so that's why that IP address 192.168.0.100 has to be the same on both machines, because the other machine needs to point to this machine as the DNS server. We're also going to become the global catalog. We will not become a read-only domain controller. Now here I'm going to put in my password, pass1234 exclamation point. So as you saw in the other video, that's the password I use for my virtual machines. In the real world, you never would do that. But you do want to use something you're going to remember here. Now, this password, by the way, is Directory Services Restore Mode password. You're only going to use this if your server crashes, or if you need to back up the database or do something, or remove Active Directory years from now when you go to decommission this server and use it for another purpose. So that's when you'll need that password. But probably your whole life you won't need that. That's not your login password. Okay. So I'm going to go click next. Now it's telling me a delegation for DNS server cannot be contacted. Well, that's because there is no delegation. We are going to become the DNS server, so we wouldn't expect to find one. Okay. So now it's going to give us a NetBIOS name. Remember, we called our machine domain123.cct. Well, our NetBIOS name is going to be that same name, except it won't have the .cct. Okay, so this is taking, should take about a minute. That went pretty quick. I'm going to go click on next. There's my NetBIOS name, domain123. I click on next. So this is going pretty good, and my server hasn't crashed. So hallelujah, yippee. Okay. Let's see if the spirits are with us. Well, today is October 31st. It is Halloween. I should have trick-or-treaters outside. It gets dark at 5 o'clock. Of course, they went and set the clocks back. But anyway, this is Windows NT Directory Services, is the database for all the users and groups, and all the resources inside Active Directory are kept there. Here's your sysvol, which is basically that you have logs and you have a system logs running. So I just click on next, and I click on next, and it's looking good. So once I click install, the machine's going to reboot when it's all done. So we're doing pretty good. We're just about half an hour into this video, and I'm anticipating this should take another, it could take 2 or 3 minutes. Now, you're getting a few messages here, but everything's looking good. Ignore these little yellow exclamation mark look like warnings. All you care about is the green one at the end that says, all prerequisite checks passed successfully. Click Install to begin the installation. I click Install, and I begin the installation. So, I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but we could stay here for a few minutes, or I could pause the recording. It's going quick enough. When it's done, it's going to restart this machine. So if the machine restarts, hopefully it doesn't mean it crashed. Hopefully it means Active Directory is installed. And once Active Directory is installed, then we can go. This is looking good. This is looking good. Yeah. Here's your feature installation. There we go. Everything's looking good. So when it's done, it's just going to restart. There we go. You're about to be signed out. Looking good. Looking good. I'm just going to let it restart. You're a witness. Come on. It did say aborted. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, my machine crashed, but it did become a domain controller. So I restarted it. And you see right here where it says domain 123 administrator. Now, if we go to the other machine, which is right here, let's go start that one up. When you go to log into that one, it won't say domain 123, it just says administrator. I can kind of show you what I mean. If I go here and just go into sign out, let's just sign out. Okay. So when you go to sign in, you don't hit Control-Delete. You have to go to Input, and then you have to go to Keyboard, Insert, Control-Delete. See how this one just says Administrator. This one says Domain 123 Administrator. So this shows me I have a domain. And I'm going to go put in my very secret password. I'll put these both side by side. I'm going to go log into this one. I can get rid of those notifications. Now we can close this little thing here. Now, I think that machine crashed. Isn't this so much fun? Anyway, let's just keep going here, folks. And so this is your server manager. That was just asking me why I shut down the server. So this one, it's just one of those days, folks. It's just one of those days. Anyway, we're going to just keep going, right? I'll get the two machines side by side. Okay, so I now have both my machines side by side. I paused the video there when I started it back. So I did ipconfig. So let's just see if 100 over here can ping 200. Ping 192.168.0.200. So I can ping the other machine. This one I'm going to say ping 192.168.0.100. So he can ping the other guy. So that's important because machine number 2 is going to join the domain. Now, if I go here and type in host name, that's the name of my machine. My machines should be able to ping each other by name. Ping demo server 1. So see, I can ping by domain name. And I can go here, ping demo server 2. Hang on a second. See, I can ping by domain name. That's because my DNS is working properly. Okay. Request timeout. Hang on a second. Oh, don't worry about that. All that matters is the first one. This second machine here, this one, can ping the first one by domain name. Not only that, if I go here and type in IP config, watch this, I'm going to type in CLS IP config /all, you can see that this machine is called demo server, part of domain 123.cct. I can even ping domain 123.cct. See that? I can ping by domain. I can't find that. Let's just see if we can find domain 123. Oops, got a dot in there. Oh, don't worry about that. We can ping the other machine by name. That's the important thing right there. Demo server 1. Got that? Okay. Now, how do we join the machine to the domain, right? If I go here, you can see this machine is domain 123.cct, okay? This other machine is not. So what I'm going to need to do is go, I could go into the server manager, is one way to do it. So let's go into server manager. And do you remember how we changed the domain name? We went to configure this local server, and we clicked here to change the name. So once we clicked there, there's your name, and so we clicked on change, but notice it has workgroup and it has domain. So what we're going to do is go into domain. I'm going to type in domain cct.ie, or sorry, .cct. Sorry, domain 123.cct, okay, which is my domain name. By the way, there's a few different ways to get to this. I could also go into control panel and go into what's it called here. I'll show you. If I go into control panel, this control panel, then if I go into large icons, and if I go into system and see right here, I can go into change settings here for my computer name, and that's would take me to the exact same place. Okay, now my first machine just crashed, so hang on a second while I go revive it, and then we're going to go join the domain once and for all. Okay, so I restarted that machine. Now watch this. I'm at this machine that's just about to join the domain. I just want to make sure I can still ping it. There I'm pinging by name, and I'm going to go ping by IP address. There, the first machine is 100. I can ping it, no problem. So I can go ahead now. I went into this domain 123.cct, and I'm going to click OK, and it should tell me, it should say welcome to the domain. Well, it's going to ask me for username and password. So let's go look at that. And while it's doing that, it's telling me, it's giving me a message. What does this one say? Promote this one to domain controller. Hang on a second, let me check something. Okay. Okay. We're going to continue now. My other machine did crash, and I did reinstall a brand new domain controller. But it's just because this Oracle VirtualBox, the new version, is unstable. That's why they came out with a version 7 and then a 7.02. And I have a feeling 7.03 or 04 will be out pretty soon. Today is October 31st, 2022, and I bet you by the end of November, they'll have another version or two. Anyway, we keep going. So what I want to show you is that I can ping the first machine, ping 192.168.0.200, right? And then I should be able to ping the first machine, ping 192.168.0.100, right? Not only can I ping by its IP address, I should be able to ping by its name, ping, what is it? Demo-server1, right? I can ping the name. Now, I can also ping the domain name, which is domain123.cct. The reason why I can ping by the computer name or server name and the domain name is because DNS is working just fine. This is machine number 2 is pinging machine number 1, and both machines have the the first machine is 192.168.0.100, which is also our DNS server. So both machines need to have that IP address, 192.168.0.100, as the DNS server. And if I type in ipconfig /all, you'll see that the second machine and the first machine for their DNS, they both have 192.168. This one says 254. Where did that come from? Don't know. Hang on a second here. Let's go check our settings. I never changed it. Network connection. Hang on. Network adapter. Go into here. Properties. Boom. Boom. There it is. 1.100. Okay. So we're not going to worry about that other thing. Now, watch this though. You saw I could ping by name and domain name. Watch this. I'm going to ping by both. So ping demo server 1 dot domain 123.cct. Okay. Anyway, so I do have full connectivity. So now I'm going to go join this domain. No problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and go into control panel, and I'm going to go in control panel, I go into large icons, and then I'm going to go into system, which should be, where's my system? Right here. And now here's my name. And I'm going to go, I'm not making this machine into a domain controller, I'm joining the domain. Okay, so we have the first machine's a domain controller, second one join the domain. What's the domain name? Domain123.cct. Now I click OK. If everything goes according to plan, it should ask me for the administrator is the name of the administrator over here, and the password. In my case, it's pass1234 exclamation point, because that's what I have all my students use. This should say, welcome to the domain. Here we go. Now we're going to go restart the machine, and when it restarts the machine, it will now be a member of the domain. So basically, we're at the end of the video here, and what we could see here is that the first machine is a domain controller, which just crashed, but that's okay. The second machine joined the domain successfully, and we're happy about that. And so we've come to the end of the video, and maybe this was good for you to see that the virtual machines were crashing. I'm not used to that. I'm not happy about it. But when you are in IT, information technology, you have to have a lot of patience, and sometimes things just don't work right. You have to take a deep breath, and you just have to keep going. Okay, so listen everybody, this was a fun little task here. What we did was we, once you have virtual machines made up, you can network them together, and then you can go ahead and make one into a domain controller. The other one can join the domain, but in order to do that, you do need to make sure you have connectivity between both of the machines. Okay, so Everybody, I want to thank you for all of your patience here. We'll just take a look at this machine real quick. Okay, just to finish, so I've logged into the server 2 that just joined the domain. I'm going to go look at the name here. So we see it's called Demo Server 2, and it has joined this domain. So everybody, I want to thank you for watching the video, and I'll probably see you again in a future video. Goodbye.